Hello, hello. Welcome to my channel. My name is Emmy from Emmy Evolving here on YouTube and Facebook. Hey guys, what's up? I was just told that I needed to go live right now. I just finished a Soul Sanctuary live stream, but I was told I needed to go live right now to do a reading for Pisces, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. Also for your cross watchers, also for those of us who find ourselves on this channel without any Piscean anything. You're probably an empath and you're probably needing messages from your soul. So, something super exciting right now. I am streaming live across YouTube, my Facebook business page, and my personal page. Let's see how this cluster fluff is going to play out. So, here's the thing. I was told I needed to go live for a specific message. What that message is, we're about to find out. This reading, when I asked what it was going to be about, I was told there's so much to think about. Okay. There's so much for each of us to begin considering, realizing. It's always a difficult thing when we don't know what it is that needs to be considered, when we have no real idea in regards to how to proceed, because, we don't know what's happening. We don't know what the goal is. The goal is always to grow you in the most compassionate, most self-loving, most just, I don't know. We need to learn to love ourselves and receive. We have to allow ourselves to receive the messages and the guidance from our soul. Okay. So let's get started. I'm going to pull some cards. I know for the people on Facebook, y'all have not seen me go live in a very long time. That's okay. It's because of dark interference. First card. Let's go ahead. Keep shuffling. Keep shuffling. Here goes. Okay. Just pull some cards from this deck. Pull some cards from this deck. Okay. I was supposed to go do something else. That's okay, though. I love spending time with you guys. Okay. That's okay. But let's see. Oh, shoot. Let's stick that back in the bottom. Pull some cards from here. Put that there. Pull some from this deck, too. Okay. Oh, wow. We just tossing cards everywhere today. There. That's good. Okay. Here goes. First and foremost, the ethos that you've been existing within, the mindset, the school of thought, it's upside down. It's in reverse. This is something that we have to pretty much choose to let go of. Okay. There's so much to consider within your life because life has a complex simplicity about it. Life was never meant to be easy. It wasn't meant to be easily understood. Life is something that is meant to be lived in such a way that creates a simple complexity. Okay. You're going from a complex simplicity to a simple complexity. That's growth. To be able to transmute, transition, transform, that's evidence of growth. And sometimes that growth is painful. Sometimes that growth is the very thing we don't want to do. We don't want to participate in. We don't this, we don't that. That's okay. You don't have to want it. You just have to be able to allow yourself to see what you are living through, which is the lessons, the growth. Okay. Initiation. It's time to walk away from the places, the people, the things that have been trying to initiate you into these places of toxicity. There are too many of us who continue to exist in groups, locations, friendships, partnerships, business places that are full of toxicity, things that poison us, things that distort the way we see ourselves. Now a choice has to be made. It has to be made soon. Maybe not today, maybe tomorrow, or maybe next week, or the week after, or the next month, or in a few months from now. But at some point, you're going to be forced to realize, to accept, um, in not making a decision, you're allowing someone else to decide for you. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with other people deciding the details of your life? Are you okay being dragged along by the hand of another human? Because at that point, it's not your soul dragging you. It's just not. It's not your soul dragging you. It's another human being. You've asked them to drag you down the riverbed of your life. That riverbed once was a huge river that led you back to the oceans of your heart. As you've continued to try and modify yourself to be more easily digested by the people in your life, you've created dams that block the flow of your energy, that block the flow of you and your truth. And that's why your riverbed is dry. It's not the seasons, it's the choices to block ourselves, to block our abundance, to block ourselves from receiving, block ourselves from being seen. All of these ways in which we block ourselves, creating a huge wall, a retaining wall that holds in all of this greatness. Is greatness really great if you continue to hide it? Is greatness a frame of mind or is it a state of being? Is greatness only great when other people witness it? I mean, these are questions we have to ask ourselves. I just finished a beautiful live stream with my girlfriend, Jenna. We did my Soul Sanctuary podcast just a short while ago. It ended. And oh man, it was so potent. It hit me right in the core of my heart space. Why? Because I finally saw myself through her eyes, and I've known her for so long, and I've never been able to quite see why she values me the way she does. And in that questioning of how did I ever get so lucky to have such an amazing friend, and she's not the only amazing friend that I have at this point. I have quite a few really amazing people in my life, and it's almost as though in that moment of realization, Jenna represented every person that has come into my life, into my journey, and has loved me in the way that she loves me. And it's like, I don't get it. Why? Like, you guys don't have to love me like that. That's weird. Like, what did I do? I haven't done anything. I've just been me, and I don't know if I'm deserving of that depth of love. And then I saw myself through her eyes, and it's like, oh my God, why can I be so profound yet so confined and obtuse all at the same time? How have I not been able to see myself like this? And it hurt me. It hurt me to know that all of these things that I've considered, yet I've never allowed myself to be one of the things to consider. How have you been not considering yourself and your needs? And as much as you think you've grown, most empaths, most Pisceans, we struggle through this period, this process of considering the gravity of who we are. Now, that doesn't mean we're better than other people. It doesn't mean that we deserve more. It means we need to raise ourselves up back to our rightful place, shoulder to shoulder with everyone else. We don't always have to exist as a seed that never came to be. Many seeds get planted, not all of them grow. Maybe your seed didn't grow because you've been giving all your water to other people. Maybe your seed didn't grow because you never gave it permission to receive the very things that it needed for its growth. It doesn't make you a bad person. It just means you now have to pay attention to the ways in which you haven't been appropriately loving and providing for yourself. For yourself. You're just as important as everyone else. You need the type of love that you so freely give to everyone else. You need that as well. You need to keep some of that for you. Just skim it right off the top. That's the part that was kissed by your truth in the most profound ways. Skim right off the top what rightfully is yours. That's the part that's the warmest because it's been kissed by your truth in the most intense way. It's okay for other people to partake in the depth and the beauty of that depth. That's where you live. But as we know, the deeper you go in water, the colder it becomes. You need more of your warmth to return back home to you. It's okay to share it. It is. It's okay to share it. It's not okay to give it all away so that intentionally there's nothing left for you. You deserve to receive as much as the people who you give to. Now, the guidance is backwards. The guidance is backwards because it's this thing of listening to the people who don't really know because they haven't really grown in the way they're presenting their growth. It has nothing to do with calling people out. It has everything to do with realizing we all grow in different times and measures in our own way, at our own time, based on the decisions that we make for ourselves. The way someone has grown themselves is appropriate for the purpose they are here to live. And that purpose has already been filled by them. You have your own purpose. That means you have your own path of growth. That means you have to, at some point, find the courage to stop following behind other people. They're going somewhere else. It might be the house next door to where you live, but that's still somewhere else. At some point, you have to go onto your driveway as they go onto theirs, right? Or are you going to drive into their house? That's not where you live. You live home in yourself, in the throne room of your heart. And it's time. Time for what? For you to decide what time it is. What do you want to accomplish today? What do you want to accomplish in this life, during this period, in this chapter that you're writing? Do you, as Jenna said in the previous live stream, do you want to pause? Do you want to stop writing? Or do you want to write a whole new book? All of that are valid. All of those options are valid. Watchtower of the South, summer. By this summer, if you start the work right now, you'll find yourself in a field of sunflowers. And I've said this before. Sunflowers are known for rising with the sun in the morning. They follow the sun as the sun travels through the sky. And on days where the sun is not shining, the sunflowers will face each other. These are people who are an external reflection of your internal light. On the days you don't have the courage or the strength or the direction to light yourself, to find your point of illumination, these are the people in your life who will hold space for you. These are the ones who don't need you to be anything other than what you are right now, and they celebrate that. Regardless of how much you think you're lacking, they celebrate that. They celebrate you. And on the days you can't find reason to celebrate yourself, you'll find that they're there existing with a party hat, some streamers and balloons, just totally celebrating you. Like you're amazing. You're amazing. You really are. I was talking to Jenna for a little bit after the live stream ended, maybe like 30, 40 minutes ago. We were chatting and I was telling her how awesome all of you are. That I found a community, co-created a community of people who are a reflection of what she is to me. The gravity of that, but also the gravity of realizing she's irreplaceable in my life. I can't replace her. She's a concentration within one physical body of what all of you do for me. It's powerful. She has a rightful place in my heart, just like all of the friends that I currently have a rightful place within my heart. They can never be replaced, none of them. Not Jenna, not any of the other ones either. They could never be replaced. They each have their own separate throne room within the chamber of my heart. And that's how it should be. To be able to cherish the people in your life and consider the ways in which they've grown you. Consider the ways in which they see you clearly when you can't see yourself. Those are beautiful things to consider. Some things, they're worth fighting for. Some things you don't just allow to perish, allow to wither away and die. Some things are like a lifeline for you. When you consider that, you begin to understand the gravity of why you go out of your way for specific people, and that's okay. It's also okay to realize that not everyone will hold this gravity, that much like asteroids stuck within your gravitational pull, they'll orbit you, and that's all they're really meant to do, to give you an idea of the perimeter of your existence. Not that they're irrelevant, not that they're somehow needing to be cleared out because they should not be there, but that everything has its proper place within your life, giving you better clarity about yourself. There are things that you're not wanting to remember that are needing to be remembered. And these things that you're not wanting to remember, have you asked yourself why? Why do you not want to remember this? Is it because it's difficult? Because it's painful? Because it comes from a period of your life where you weren't enough, or at least that's how you perceived it? And what if I told you every period of your life, regardless of the environment you were in, regardless of the lack of permission to exist from the people within that environment that you were in, you've always been amazing. You've always had gravity. You've always had this intrinsic worth that maybe you're not aware you have. But just because you lack awareness of something does not negate the fact that it is. That it just is. So, looking back at my own journey and taking that into consideration, I've always just been this way. I didn't have a moment of awakening. There was no like, oh, I woke on this year. I've literally always been this way. As a child, I mean, could you imagine having to parent me, having to raise a toddler version of me? I've always been existing at this depth, and once upon a time prepared to drown anyone who came near, and another time afraid that I had drowned everyone who was willing to come and swim in my water. Opposing polarities on the same plane of existence, helping me to understand that middle ground, that place where I have permission from myself to defend myself as is appropriate, but not to be unnecessarily destructive for those who maybe just want to visit. It's not always a bad thing when people come around because they see you as a novelty. Sometimes it could be a compliment. They've never experienced anyone like you before, and it's profound. Oh my gosh, you have their complete attention. They're fixated. They're trying to figure you out. That's okay. As long as you don't begin to internalize this state of being a novelty. That's their perception, not your truth. And we don't need to control other people's perceptions. We need to instead utilize that energy on maintaining a clarity of our perception of ourselves. And that's what my journey has been. All of these different things to consider, making sure that I'm paying attention to what my soul is telling me needs to be considered now in this moment. That's a hard journey to take. Very, very hard. And it's something that we all need to eventually prepare ourselves to begin walking down that path of truth, And what's the truth? Your spiritual journey takes you through your own wilderness. There's no path laid before you. Your spiritual path is a wilderness. No one has traversed that land before. You're invited to be the first one to explore it. And as you explore it, as you begin to understand, as you gain some sort of bearings of how this land is structured, what areas are safe, what are questionable, you can then begin to consider inviting people in. But all of these factors need to be considered. There's so much to consider before you put action behind some plan. Do you need a plan? Or do you need to simply prepare by understanding you're capable of handling any situation? I find that when we become so stringent in our planning, we set ourselves up for a sense of failure. We set ourselves up to experience something profound in a less profound way because it didn't play out in the way we planned for it to play out. You're the utmost authority of your life, but your soul is the utmost authority of you. When the soul decides what the human brain has planned out is not in alignment with the truth of the direction you're being led down, it will override your decisions and your plans. Does that mean you need to make contingencies? No. That means this is the perfect opportunity for you to develop a trust for your soul. You got to trust your soul. It's the one thing that would never hurt you for no reason. Oftentimes we hurt as soul teaches us important things because our expectations are not met. Our wishes are not fulfilled. We become frustrated, disappointed, all sorts of different, very infantile reasons. And it's okay. It's okay to exist. It's okay to see yourself clearly and recognize you still have infantile tendencies, because the reality is human consciousness is infantile in its stages of growth. We haven't progressed beyond a toddler. All humans, no matter how smart, myself included, the more I've allowed myself to honor the child that I am, a child of creation, a child of God, the more I've given myself permission to be curious and explore and learn without having to play any specific roles or be any specific novelty, just really being present. What am I going to learn today, soul? I'm excited to know. But having the level of spiritual maturity paired with that infantile human consciousness and perception, that maturity to know it's going to play out however it's meant to. And when I get afraid, I have to just pause and observe in a neutral manner so that I can learn to the highest degree whatever it is I'm meant to learn in this moment. I don't really know what I'm meant to learn. I just know I'm meant to be present, to exist, to observe, to experience. Hex, banishment. Yeah, we don't have to do this anymore. We don't have to completely remove the things that scare us. Sometimes things are brought to us simply for consideration. Sometimes things are brought to us so that we understand an opposing polarity from where we're positioned. It gives us an opportunity for the juxtaposition to give us further clarity on exactly where we're positioned and where center point is. That lack of fertility, that lack of creation, maybe at some point recently or long ago, you stopped actively, consciously creating opportunities, creating connections, creating space by the release of things you've outgrown. This is just a recognition of what was decided once upon a time. And if you're still there in a place of not allowing yourself to create, Do you need to be there? Or is it maybe time to allow yourself to begin creating again? I mean, sometimes we get tired. Sometimes we need a break. Sometimes we need time to just idle in place quietly within ourselves. No words spoken, no actions taken, just existing, just being, just breathing. When was the last time you breathed intentionally? We consistently exist in a state of stressed out, varying degrees of stressed out and anxiety. And as that happens, as we continue to live in that state, it becomes a normalized thing for us to breathe very shallow. What if you're a deep sea fish? Deep sea fish were not designed to live at surface level. They perish. Their internal structuring becomes irreparably damaged. They die. You cannot bring to the shallows something that was designed for the depths. It's okay if you're not a deep sea fish. It's also okay if you are. The deeper you go, the less light there is. And maybe that's why you feel alone, because you can't see in that depth through that darkness. Have you ever heard of an anglerfish? It has bioluminescence. It creates its own light. Now, granted, it creates light to draw other smaller fish within proximity of its mouth, and it's going to gobble you up. But I still find it as a beautiful, beautiful reminder. I mean, is it evil? Is that intrinsically evil? That it's taking care of its needs? It was designed in that way for that purpose. Is that evil? No. But do we need to be that anglerfish gobbling other fish? There's filter feeders at the bottom too. We all have a proper place. Maybe at some point in your journey, you have to be a gobbler. You have to be that anglerfish, and maybe that's once in a great while, maybe just once or twice in your lifetime. Give yourself permission to fill the proper roles that you need to fill within your lifetime. And if you don't know what that is or when that is, you need to begin speaking to your soul and asking it direct questions. Notice how I said your soul, not your soul team. Your guardians and guides are there to facilitate the communication and guidance from your soul. They don't take the place of your soul. Your guidance must come from within, and allow your external environment to be a reflection of the validation and confirmation your soul is attempting to provide you, to soothe any fears that maybe you misunderstood. Maybe you're not as gifted as you are. You know, everyone that I've come across in my lifetime, it's been a lot of people. It's been a lot of people. And every single one that's gifted beyond gifted, where I can really see like, wow, you're gifted AF. They're usually the ones who are like, I don't know. Is that right? Is that wrong? That was wrong, huh? Oh, I don't really know. I'm not good at this. Are you kidding me? You have burned into your template sections of the CDTs. What do you mean you're not good at this? You're downloading from the collective Akashic into your personal Akashic. You're being guided by creation itself. And see, for people who exist like that and they don't take that into consideration, they will continue to live in a way that further diminishes the gravity of their existence in this lifetime, and how this divine string of destiny connects them to the people who they've promised, I will give you this information at this time. Find me, tug on the string, and our paths will cross. and we'll have conversations and interactions that will trigger a remembering of this information, and I will give it to you. I promise you I'll keep it safe until then. How are you going to do that if you continue to hide yourself? What I know about soul, it does not make promises often, but the promises it makes, it will forever keep. It will forever keep it. Security. You're secure within your own home. Your home is made of magic. The magic is you. You're secure. What's the most important organs? The heart, the lungs, and the brain. You notice how the most important things are caged by bone. Have you ever wondered why your life has played out the way it has? Much of my life I've been hidden away. Literally. I've been hidden away. Why? Because until I was mature enough to take my rightful place in whatever way that is, I needed to be protected. Protected by being caged? No, protected by being hidden in plain sight. Your heart exists within you, hidden within plain sight. Some of us wear our heart on our sleeves. Others of us keep it very, very hidden. The heart is the point of Kokoro, that center point where the mind, the body, the soul, they come together and they exist within a flow, a rhythm, a beat. Find your center place. Homecoming, hearth. Now, this is an important comment. As that card comes up, the homecoming, and Queen of Hearts says, I think some people don't know who they are and need that external confirmation to help them progress. Now, I want to say, I feel your stance is valid for you. But I also feel like for me, my perception is wildly different. I'm at a point in my journey and my understanding of myself that the more accurate statement for me personally is I've always known who I was. I just didn't want to believe it. I've always known. I didn't want to believe it. I wanted to be normal. I wanted to be like everyone else because my environment told me unless I'm like everyone else, I'm not worthy of being loved. Unless I'm serving some sort of purpose that you determine with your human perception, I will be a disappointment. A disappointment to whom? People who are already living in a disappointed way? So then if that's disappointing to you and you're already disappointed by everything, what does it really matter? And then allowing myself to go through the process of releasing that obligation, that obligatory existence to play the role that someone else recruited me for, not with my permission either. Are you a sovereign? Because sovereigns do what they do. They decide for themselves. They are the utmost authority in their life. That's the definition of sovereign, the utmost authority. That's literally the definition. But you see, here's the thing. You're the only one that lives within your auric field. So your authority does not extend beyond your kingdom. What's your kingdom? Your auric field. So what does that mean? You only have authority over yourself, not even over your children. You're here to help guide and guard and provide the experiences they tasked you to provide for them. Whether it be good, whether it be bad, whatever it is. Your children picked you because you'd be able to do this. Your authority is really only over yourself. That's it. That's all it's ever been. Only over yourself. And when you begin to try and control people, even if your intention is pure, you want them to see the validity of what your stance is. What if your stance is only valid for you? It's valid, but only for you. This leads me back to this very real knowing of what I can eat is extremely restricted. I can't have any grains. Does that mean no one else ever in this world, nearly 8 billion people, should eat grains? No, it means it's valid for me. I mean, I don't know if it's valid for you or not. It might be, it might not be. I mean, how does it make you feel? And maybe that's the thing we need to consider, like the things we try and convince other people of. Have we stopped to ask, how does this make you feel? How does this make you feel? Does it resonate? When I do readings for people, I'm accessing portions of their morphogenetic template and their personal Akashic records that it's accurate. But I'm not allowed to override your sovereignty. How does this make you feel? Does it resonate? Okay, if it resonates, let's explore this. Am I supposed to do something? Am I supposed to leave this alone? Do you need protection? Are you doing this to yourself? What needs to happen? When was the last time we considered all of these things? You know, the whole concept of just because you can doesn't mean you should. That's not just a concept, it's a way to live. Just because you can, does that mean you should? And just because you should, does it mean you want to? Want and need are two different things. Want and need are two different things. These are cycles that you go through time and time and time again. They're just cycles, okay? Give yourself the time and the space. They're cycles. That's all they are. They're opportunities to learn. And if you miss this cycle, catch it on its return trip. It's going to circle back around. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's going to circle back around. Spring might be upside down for some of us. We've just entered winter. It's going to take a little bit of time before we get to spring. If you begin doing this work for yourself now, these considerations and alterations to the way you wear your life, that's, I think you'll be comfortable through spring. But if you're going to wait until you enter into spring, that period of creation, oh, I mean, why do we do this? I don't know. I do it too. This morning, I had been laying in bed, like wide awake for about 2 hours already, literally staring at the ceiling for no reason. Considering, should I just get up? Should I just stay here? Should I get up? Should I stay here? And then I decided to pick up my phone and I saw a post by one of my buddies, Chris, and it was this like meme about ADHD and how we have a tendency to waste 4 hours, waste the 4 hours and do absolutely nothing, in air quotes, waste the 4 hours, do absolutely nothing for the day, and then get everything we need to do for the day done in that 1 hour that's left. So I saw that and I was like, okay, this is my sign to get the day started, prepare everything. I have a very full day today. And you know what I did? I got out of bed and I made myself a bath and I stayed there for another hour and a half, 2 hours. Hey, you know, I felt like I had to wash the filth of life off of me. I had to marinate in that sacred bath. Okay? I had to marinate. It's okay. I still arrived for my podcast at the time I needed to arrive. Everything got done. Do I need to beat myself up for quote unquote improper use of my 4 hours? What exactly did I need to do? I don't know. But I don't know. Because I was in the bathtub like, girl, what did we need to do? I don't know. Well, we should hurry up with this bath and be done so we can go do what we need to. What did we need to do? I don't know. You're exactly where you are when you need to be there. You're exactly where you are when you need to be there. All your perceptions of all of these things that you need to do and be and yada, yada, yada. What if they're distorted perceptions that keep you in a perpetual loop of self-hatred, disappointing self, further amplifying the distortions in your perceptions? You know, if I really needed to be somewhere or do something this morning, I promise you the people in my life would have held me accountable. I promise you my husband would have been the first one to be like, hey, you're going to need to get out of the tub now. That's happened before. That's happened before. I decided 15 minutes before I needed to start a fire ceremony, I'm going to have a bath. It's going to be a goddess bath, and I'm going to soak. Hour and a half later, my husband's banging on the door. You need to get out of the tub. No, I don't want to. All these people are waiting. They can wait longer. I'm not done. I'm doing goddess things. He's like, get the hell out the tub. Fine. I was upset. But here's the thing. I can have my tantrum all I want. My life and the people in my life will always hold me accountable for where I need to be when I need to be there. This is about trusting the way my life is structured in such a way that I am surrounded by the people who crave for me to succeed. They support my success and my process to get there. And if you're going to sit there and try and type out, I don't have that in my environment, so you can't. No, I can tell you these things because guess what? I didn't have that in my environment until I allowed it in, until I allowed myself to let go of the very people, places, things, situations that took the place of the proper people in my life. Don't give me that BS. You don't have what you want and need because you don't allow it in. Instead, you hold on to the toxic people, places, and things that prevent the proper from entering. Hold yourself accountable for once. You best believe someone's been thinking out loud. I heard it. That's why you lack stability. Lack of accountability leads to lack of stability. Accountability is not about blaming. It's about a recognition of how powerful the options you choose are, how powerful you are that you could choose an option that leads to your struggle and isolation. And if you can choose that, then that means you absolutely have the power, authority, and capability to choose the options that will give you the polar opposite. You don't have bad luck, you just have poor decision-making skills. Doesn't make you a bad person. It just gives you a very clear indication of what part of you you need to focus on and support. This is not about pointing out how you're lacking. This is about pointing out that your idea that you're lacking needs to quit. It needs to stop. Just stop. What do you get from people's pity? Nothing but more self-pity. I never want anyone to pity me. Why? Because I'm humble? No, I'm not humble. I'm aware. When you pity me, it gives me permission to pity myself. Please don't ever give me permission for that. It doesn't grow me. Give me the love I deserve, which is what? Not pity. Like, hey, girl, we saw you fell. Get up. Get up. Yeah, some people laugh, but I mean, if you're going to sit there forever, more people are going to see it, then you're going to feel more embarrassed. Get up. Just get up. Do you need a hand up? Get up. That's what I need. Sometimes if I fall real hard, what I need is for someone to love me in a way where, okay, now you're sitting beside me, hugging me. Like, it's okay. It looks broken. Your leg looks broken. Hold on. Don't get up yet. Can someone call an ambulance, please? She broke her leg. different ways to love for different situations. Begin learning what's appropriate for what you're living through. I promise you, no matter what you're living through, pity is never appropriate. It's never appropriate. That's not a form of love. That's a form of elitism. I pity you. Why? Well, because I recognize to some degree I'm positioned above you and you poor little peasant. Oh, look at you suffering. Jeeves, take me back to my mansion. That's not love. That's separation, segregation. I'm good off that. I'm good off that. I don't need that. I don't need to be pitied. You don't need to be pitied. What we need is to be empowered. We go through things in life so that we can understand certain types of situations. And when you go through something and you understand it, you are now so powerfully positioned to assist, not to save. There's no hose in this house. We're not here to save a hoe. You're not a captain. Please put the hat down. Release the Captain Morgan pose. There's no hose in this house to save. You are, though, properly positioned to powerfully support someone who's going through the same thing you just finished, or you finished a long time ago. Life trains you for what your purpose is. And if you're not present as you live, how are you actually being trained? How? This is kind of a trigger topic for many people. It reminds me of that truck driver who had like a really bad accident in Colorado. I was not aware that that happened. I became aware of that once he was sentenced by the state of Colorado to something like 110 years. It was an accident, but lives were lost. They were basing it off legislation. So how does this tie in? He was improperly trained. Having lived in Colorado for so many years, when you drive through the mountains, sometimes there's hairpin turns, and it's not a joke. It's not a joke. To enter and get out of the state, you go in through mountains. There's no way around it. You're going through something. And I think what happened, I'm not too familiar, okay? I'm not well-versed in whatever this case is, but what happened was he wasn't properly trained. And so he didn't realize that he should have been in a specific lane so that when his brakes go out, which is common, he would have access to the runaway truck lane. There are huge lanes that go all the way up a ramp full of gravel. It'll stop you when your brakes go out. I thought they were ski slopes. When I first moved and it snowed, I was like, oh, isn't that cute? They're so considerate here. They built little mini bunny slopes. They're not bunny slopes. They're runaway truck ramps. He couldn't get over. He wasn't in the right lane. Why? Was that irresponsible? It was lack of experience. Had he been properly trained, like properly trained, he would know. Had he had enough life experience, he would know. He would understand the proper positioning. Your life is teaching you about your proper positioning. Do you need to be sentenced to a life of misery before you understand that, before you accept that, before you live that? I mean, that's hard. That's hard. The gravity of that realization, you're condemning yourself. You're condemning yourself. Now, this case, like, because I lived and traveled in and out of Colorado for several years in an RV. Oh my gosh. Why do y'all think I was stranded in a mother effing parking lot for like 5.5 months? Because I was in Colorado and the brakes went out. Like, I can't leave. I can't leave. I'm stuck. I couldn't even go to Denver. I was stuck. That lesson hits home so deeply because it's like, why was I stuck? Because life was properly positioning me. What do you mean? Well, Michael, Archangel Michael, in case you guys are new to me, Archangel Michael talks to me a lot. Whatever. I don't worship him. He's my babysitter. And Bastardo broke my brakes. He told me to go back to Colorado, and as soon as we entered state lines, he broke my brakes. He broke it. It had just been serviced, and he broke my brakes intentionally. Why? To properly position me into the place I'm in now. It was to encourage me to make a decision to be publicly visible. The only way I was going to get out of that parking lot was to be publicly visible, to allow myself to live, exist, be witnessed in a state of vulnerability. The very first time I cried on screen, on camera, I was live streaming at St. Vrain Park, and as an eagle flew over my head while I was live streaming, he told me he broke my brakes on purpose. I have never sobbed so hard in front of other people. I had never sobbed so hard in front of other people. Like, why would you do that to me? And he's like, because short of that, you would have never cooperated. And then comes the question of cooperated with whom? With my soul. Michael doesn't tell me what to do. He delivers messages from my soul because I refuse to listen. Does that mean I'm broken? No. That means I have to better understand. I have to be more aware. See, it works both ways. If I don't listen to my soul, that means I'm not going to listen to you either. So the people who come across me and tell me all sorts of really messed up things to gaslight me into places of perception where I hate myself more, I'm not going to listen to you. Are you kidding me? I didn't listen to my parents. I don't even listen to my soul. You're tripping, boo. I don't listen to shit. I got to live it. I got to live it first. And now you know why he broke my brakes. I had to live it. I had to live that vulnerability. I had to learn firsthand. Do I need to be angry? No. Did it hurt my feelings when I realized it at first? Absolutely. I was like, you're such a DICK. Why are you like this? And if you guys have ever watched the show The Witcher, that's literally like Michael's demeanor. That's Michael's demeanor. He grunts. It's just like, I tell jokes. You know, he never laughs. He's always the Witcher. And when I cried, that day I cried. Oh my gosh, he got teary-eyed. He got teary-eyed. I could feel he was like, I'm so sorry, child. I am so sorry that you forced this hand. It wasn't that he's sorry he did that. He's sorry that I chose to learn in that way. Whew. Oh, Lord. Because my balance was upside down and I wouldn't consider anything outside of what I wanted to believe, which is what? That I can do the work that I'm meant to do without being witnessed. I cannot. That was a fear-based distortion that I could do the work I need to do without being witnessed. No, baby boo, you cannot. At least for me, no, I could not. I couldn't. I couldn't. I needed to be witnessed so that I could understand. There are so many more things about me, my life, what I've lived through, what I still must live through, that are not being taken into consideration. When your soul asks you nicely and you ignore it, soul is about efficiency. Soul is about growth and expansion. You really think soul is going to keep whispering if you pretend like you're deaf? No, it's not. And that's something you choose. What do you feel? Are you comparing a life of reality or a life of perceived potentiality? Like, I should be this, I should be that, but I'm not. Are you not, or are you not yet? Are you not, or are you not yet? Because here's the thing, I thought I was not for a long period. I have people who I interacted with years ago on social media. We lost touch for one reason or another. And then I came across one of the posts that had the name of the group that I knew this was their group, this was their company. And I happened to go there, and it's like, oh my God, we have the same purpose. And I'm struggling to let myself be witness. And you're over here with like 500,000 people. What am I doing? We have the same purpose. And it's like, am I comparing? No, not in that way. I'm not jealous. I'm realizing how much I'm failing at what I'm supposed to do. That's the initial phase. That's what brings your awareness to it. And then I allowed myself to further process, and I realized, oh, it wasn't about recognizing the ways in which I'm failing. It's about realizing I'm in the process of developing the level of maturity that's necessary to be positioned in the way I'm meant to be positioned. I could not have these conversations with you that I have with you today, even 3 years ago, 2 years ago. I had to lose so much of myself to create room for you to sit and speak with me. And no, it's not a loss of self as though my ego was so big and I thought I was bigger than everyone. It's that my ego was so big and it functions in the polar opposite of what society thinks. It takes up so much space and convinces me no one wants to hear your caca. You're full of it, girl. You make these things up. No one can Google the things you say, and so it can't possibly be real. You're making up stories. You should just write books. But you can't write books because no one wants to hear this insanity anyways. I had to lose those parts of myself so that you would have space to sit and just witness me, witness my unfolding, my undoing, my unbecoming, because who I was in that period is not actually who I am today. The more of me that I lose, the more space for the real me to come forward, the more space for me to invite you and you and you and you and you and all of you to just sit and hold space with me, not as my audience, but as my equal. If ever you see me as positioned above you, it's not because I'm greater than you. It's because I can better serve my purpose as a candle in the darkness. The higher the candle, the farther that light spreads. It's not that I'm above you. In order for me to fulfill my role, I have to burn. I have to burn. I have to be used up. So how could I ever be above you, more important than you? I am a tool in the hand of creation. That's it. And it's not me not thinking enough of myself. It's not. I'm at a point in my journey, maybe once upon a time it was. Let me be extra real and raw right now. Maybe, yeah, once upon a time, yeah, it was. These days it's not. I've entered into this process where I'm actively falling in love with myself. The other day, I was really feeling myself like, girl, your personality, you funny AF. Oh my God, you're funny AF. Just stop. You're just so funny. Stop. I don't even know what I was funny about, but I thought it was hilarious. By myself. I don't remember what I thought about. I just giggled. I was like, oh my God, you're so funny. I like you. I like you. Oh my God. You're hilarious. I was talking to myself. I don't know what it was. Clearly, it wasn't that important, but man, I was feeling myself in that moment. I was feeling myself, not at the cost of anyone else. I was just like, you're freaking hilarious. You're hilarious. You got personality sprinkled with salt. They think it's sugar, but it's salt. I was cracking up. I was like, that was good. And I ended it with that. That was good. Okay, back to work. It's okay to have moments like that with yourself. It's okay. It's okay for you to meet yourself at the same table that you're serving and have, like Scars into Stars says, have the best date ever. It's okay for you to romance yourself and fall in love with who you're becoming. Fall in love with the process of becoming. Fall in love with you as you are, knowing there's no permanence to that you will forever change and grow and evolve. It's a beautiful life. Dream a beautiful dream. Consider what you've been dreaming and what you've been putting into your template of manifestation. Consider it. Ooh. Ocean Lover says maybe it's sugar and salt. Maybe it's tamarind. Tamarindo is good stuff. It's like tarty. So, Filipinos, because I'm Filipino, Pinoy power. Anyways, I'm Filipino, and we have this kind of like snack candy type thing. It's tamarind, and they mix it with sugar and with salt. It's this savory, sour, salty, sweet concoction, and it's amazing. It's amazing. Clear you right out. Softly, softly, the tender touch. For some of us, we're in this process of learning how to speak gently. But because this card is in reverse, that's telling me you're learning how to speak gently only for the benefit of others, that you haven't yet learned to speak gently with yourself. Stop that. Card number 33, Heaven Sent. This card also came up in reverse, and that tells me you don't realize that you're heaven sent. Don't make me use bad words. Don't make me use bad words to help you understand, okay? Don't make me use bad words. My kids told me to promise that I will no longer be a bad word sayer. Don't make me use bad words. If you're not heaven sent, where are you sent from? Where are you sent from? That's where you come from before you enter into this life. Where are you sent from? Because here's the thing, okay, this is how I found part of my voice and my power. If I'm going to say I'm not XYZ, then I have to be prepared to say I am ABC. Okay? It's not enough to just think of what you're not. You have to be able to follow that with what you actually are in this moment. That's loving yourself in a whole way. That's acknowledging and honoring you are a whole being. Card number 29, seeing the true you. It's in reverse. You're believing all of that bastardo tea that people be trying to spill on you. I'm just saying, there's going to come a time where you're going to need yourself. You're just going to need yourself. You're going to need to come out of that hole that you put yourself into. And and it's not like you need to dig yourself out. It's that you need to allow that seed to grow to a maturity that is no longer just a seed. It's now the sapling that's going to grow into the tree within the orchard of your life. Know what I'm saying? Card number 5, follow your own rhythm. Listen. Not all of us know how to dance. Okay. Okay. Not every one of us can bailar. Not all of us can dance. That's fine. That's fine. Can you clap? That's a simple movement. There's a rhythm to that. We think that if we can't do the way someone else expresses and enjoys the rhythm, that we're just what, invalidated? You can clap, you can nod, you can tap your foot. Those are still valid ways to feel the rhythm. Okay? Feel the rhythm of your life. Make decisions based on that rhythm. Card number 21, beyond the mind, the heart beats. There's so much more to you than just your human logic. I swear to you. The more I evolve, the more I grow, the more I expand my awareness of myself and my consciousness, the more I realize the human mind just really was not designed to grasp, much less master, the profoundness of soul and the limitless potentiality that you store within you. Card number 6, shock of the new. I don't know why this visual pops up. I get this visual of like a clown car, and it's not driving, it's in park, and all of these clowns are, spilling out of the car. There's so many, you wouldn't think that that many people would fit in there, but they just keep coming out, and each of these clowns represents an aspect of you that you've kind of hidden away, whether it was hidden away because it was time to bury it, or it was hidden away because you wouldn't give it permission to exist. It's just something that was hidden away. I mean, how much more can you stuff within you? How much more? Okay. And if you answered that, the real question is, why do you think you have to stuff things inside still? That was a loaded question. Why do you think you still have to stuff things inside you? I mean, granted, I do that still too for certain things, and I'm not exempt from that. I don't know why, and I'm asking because maybe if one of you answer, it'll help give me clarity for myself about myself. We're on equal slippery footing here. Do any of us really know who we actually are? I mean, we might think we do. We might think we do, but do we? Because I thought I knew myself a few years ago. I thought I knew myself a few years ago, and the version of me that I believed I knew I was going to grow into had absolutely nothing to do with the person I am right now. Even just a few years ago, I was already contemplating finishing my credits in order to matriculate and apply to medical school and become a doctor and have a specialty in cardiothoracic as well as neurological surgery. Uh, is that where I'm supposed to be? Or is that what I told myself so that I could amount to something, quote unquote, something? I've been something my whole life. That's a powerful statement. I almost want to cry. Oh my God. And that defiance to the way I used to exist and see myself, I just blurted out a truth that I myself wasn't ready to hear. I've always been something. Said so matter-of-factly with no apologies. Damn, girl, who are you becoming? Have we always been something? But don't even fucking start that shit, girlfriend. This like utterance of truth, profoundness, and then backtracking into a place of apology. Oh my God. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Why? Why should I not have said that? Why am I suddenly embarrassed for saying something that I know at some level within me is a fucking truth? Oh, I said a bad word. Bad word sayer. Bad word sayers in the house. No, get out of the house. No bad word saying here. Oh, oh, that's powerful. Yes, this, I resonate. I resonate. I feel as though I've always been the same person. I've just found different ways to express myself through the different stages. Thank you, Mark. Yes, yes. The profoundness of that realization that you've really always been you. And you've simply been in the process of expressing these different aspects of you in different ways. And sometimes it's the same aspect of you expressed in different ways at different times. Card number 4, Against the Grain. Soul is about efficiency. Against the grain is the fastest way to take the bulk off of material. But after that, you need to go through that labor-intensive process of polishing it, of sanding it finer and finer and finer in grit until it's ready to be polished. Again, that itself is a process as well. Going through the process does not mean you're broken or flawed. You're understanding that it's a process will help you to better accept that you're going through a process. Once upon a time, I used to make selenite swords, and it was a process. At first, I was only sanding it by hand, and it was a very rough end product. And as the time went by and I gained confidence within myself, I began to use power tools, all self-taught. And as I began to use power tools and gave myself more permission to explore the gravity of my ability to create, entering into that space of sacred feminine power of creation. Oh, dang. Now, I can say I can sand something to the degree that it has a mirror finish. It looks like liquid crystal if I want it to. But I go through a process. I must have the proper tools. I must have the proper environment. I must have the proper know-how, desire, and willingness to apply the knowledge and the desire, allowing the knowledge, desire, and willingness to marry beautifully with that sacred feminine urge to create, to birth my art. And then comes the implication of what my girlfriend said to me earlier today while in live stream. This gentle yet profound reminder of at one point in my journey, I was surrounded by people who valued me so much that they would purchase anything from me just to be able to own something that I've held. And to carry that type of gravity and back away from it because I didn't want to be corrupted by it. Corrupted by what? A growing, deepening understanding of the gravity I hold in other people's eyes? Corrupted by what? By my own fear. Fear of what? Not fear of failure. Fear of success and my rise. Why would someone be afraid of that? Well, because if I rise, then more of you see me. And if more of you see me, I can no longer hide myself away and pretend that I'm less than what I actually am. And what's wrong with that? Well, because I didn't give myself permission to exist. I wasn't done apologizing. Why do I have to apologize? Because I told myself to. That's all. It all boils down to you. What have you allowed your environment to convince you of? About yourself, about your life, about your journey, about your growth, about your purpose, about your gravity. My life has perfectly positioned me to learn these things. Why? Well, I'm visible enough for enough people to view me that don't share the type of logic that I have, the type of perception that I have. Why is that important? Well, because I'll be exposed to one side that loves me and accepts me and understands and celebrates me. And then I'll also be exposed to the other side that detests the fact that I exist. Why do they hate me? Did I do something? Yeah, I existed. I existed as a testament to the gravity of a human consciousness exploring itself unapologetically. They detest the fact that I, as an embodiment of sacred femininity, am also very masculine. I'm going to take nothing, no caca from no one. But I also can be very soft, very nurturing, inviting you into my folds and holding you there until you're good and ready to go back out into the world and be the badass that you are. So what's the point? There is no point or a circle. Understand the gravity of that statement. When you live your life based on this premise that there always has to be a point to something, whenever you try and create a point, that is the position furthest from center. You're now misaligned. It's okay to be a circle. It's really okay to be part of the circle. It's okay to be in the center of the circle. It's okay to be surrounded by people all holding hands, facing you in the middle, smiling and celebrating your existence. Why is it that 100 people could tell you all these amazing things about yourself, but should one person come along and say you're horrible, that's the one that you listen to? Out of 101 people, the one person who lacks the ability to understand the gravity of your diversity is the one person you listen to. I'm guilty of this too. I'm absolutely guilty of this. But is this even a trial? Am I guilty? Or is this something I struggle through? And in that knowing I've struggled comes a desire to put more effort, more time, and more growth can occur when we do that. We're living in a collaborative dream. Those of us who are lucid dreamers, we are tasked with helping the others who do not know that this is a dream that we can co-create. This is something that we can build together. There's dark interference. It's dark. It's interfering. That's fine. Keep going. Keep evolving. Keep being more of who you actually are. This, people are like, oh my gosh, oh my goodness, darkness, like hounds of hell. I mean, you could see it like the hounds of hell, or you could see it as the shepherd dog of creation. I'm pretty sure the sheep, as they're redirected by that border collie, they think, oh my God, it's a wolf at my heels. Creation uses your own fear to be the very thing to guide you into the places you need to occupy. after 5.5 months of being stuck. I can't even call it stuck because it was a choice. I was perfectly fine with where we were. After 5.5 months, it was my fear that I was being an irresponsible mother. That was the very fear that was used as the border collie of my life in that moment. It guided me through that gateway, that passageway into the larger pasture that I needed to enter into. I mean, we got to stop playing small. We got to just stop playing like that. There's nothing small about us. All of us. We live in a society that tells us if you enter into a place of bigness, this realization of how big you are, how big deal you are, you're bad. But here's the thing. Me recognizing that I am bigger than what I actually am allowing myself to accept has absolutely nothing to do with you needing to be small. Yeah. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but it has nothing to do with you being small so that I can be big. Small people think like that. Naturally, small people think that way. Yeah. Me realizing the gravity of me has everything to do with me returning myself to my rightful place, which is where? Right beside you as your equal. I'm not here to be a doormat. I'm not going to volunteer for that anymore either. I'm just not. I'm done with that part of my life. I remember someone was being so toxic in so many live streams for months on end. And then finally, I had had enough in a live stream. And I actually took time out of that live stream to address this person. They seemed contrite. They seemed like they were getting it. And then the following day, I have another live stream. And it's like, did you somehow forget how toxic you've been in so many of my live streams to the point that I had to address you personally yesterday? And you have the nerve to then turn around and try and counsel my personal friend in the comments? With your twisted condemnation, baby boo, let me set you straight right here, right now. Learn your place and play your role. Excuse yourself. And then my friend was like, hey, no, we don't need to argue on behalf of me. I'm like, no, it's not on behalf of you. I mean, it triggered me to see my personal friend be addressed in that way. I felt it was disrespectful, but it went so far beyond speaking up for a friend. No, I was standing up for me at that point. At that point, it was me because guess what? The comment that he wrote that caused her to react in that way, that forced me to feel the need to speak up. That's an aspect of me too. I've been there. I've been in a place so dark within myself that I just could not wait for this life to be done. I mean, any highly gifted empath feels things in such a raw, visceral manner that it's impossible to live your entire life without entering that space. So then at that point, it went and extended beyond me, beyond my friend, and became this thing of, I'm speaking on behalf of my entire tribe. Watch yourself. Do not shame us for the position we're currently existing in. Watch yourself. Sometimes what you think is just for you is actually for all of us. When you find that voice for yourself, there's a potentiality that you're being a spokesperson for the entire group you represent. Yeah. I understand the gravity of me as I am in this life. It wasn't that long ago that I was having arguments with Archangel Michael about, what do you even mean by taking your proper place? Like, what is my proper place? You think I'm going to be like known by everybody? That's just obnoxious. I'm Asian. Mikey, I'm Asian. The world does not bow at the foot of a minority woman, much less one from Asia. That's just never going to happen. Just get out of here with that. He asked me too, like, what do you mean by this? Asian women are stereotypically seen as not being, powerful. We're supposed to be submissive. You think people are going to value me as a non-submissive, mildly aggressive Asian woman? Like, get out of here. I'm telling you, within a few days, and I'd never heard of her before. Within a few days, some girl named Bella Porch came across my page. And I was like, oh, she's so cute. What is this? And oh boy, was I just, oh my gosh, I consumed so much of her content, nonstop watching all these videos on YouTube. And I didn't realize she was on TikTok. And then I ended up having to Google her. I'm like, why am I obsessed with this girl? This is ridiculous. Why am I watching all these videos on some Bella Porch on YouTube? I don't know if it is still accurate now, but at the time I ended up Googling her. I guess she had the most popular and largest following on TikTok. She was the biggest account there. And the world had fallen in love with this inconsequential, irrelevant Asian girl. And Mikey proved me wrong in that moment. Like, oh, you best believe I shut the F up. Okay, let me stop with that. I'm diminishing myself. It's not that the world isn't ready to hear an outspoken Asian woman. It's that I wasn't ready to speak in front of the world, and I was looking for excuses. Anything I could think of. Anything I could think of. Down to the whole Asian thing. That was obnoxious. I can hold myself accountable for my own obnoxiousness. Yeah, absolutely. It's necessary. It's necessary for me to call myself out when I look for dumb excuses as to why. Why what, girlfriend? Why what? Why I can justify the shirking of the duties I need to fulfill. The reasons I came into this life. If I came into this life to save the world, how would I do that? Simply by showing you how I saved myself from myself. And loving you in such a way that you become free to choose how you're going to use that information. Are you going to use it to inspire yourself? It's up to you. I don't get a say in that. Rightfully so. Your life is yours, and only you dictate how it goes. So now I understand. Just by being me, someone rebellious, someone outspoken, I can totally be snarky and I can totally be soft. Whatever I am in that moment, that's what's appropriate for that moment. And you seeing me just be, I'm already living my purpose. In doing that, I'm already living my purpose. It's too easy, right? Who said it had to be hard? Who said it was supposed to be hard? This concept that anything you do that carries gravity must be difficult. It must be impossible. You must suffer for your craft. No, you don't have to. You choose to. Suffering is a choice. When you fight yourself, when you fight your path, when you fight the guidance of your soul, you choose suffering. You'll still end up where you're supposed to end up, but you'll suffer along the way. A choice you made. Cognitively, subconsciously, who knows? Regardless, it's a choice that you made. Make other choices. Choose other things. Allow yourself to be redirected. Just because you've gone 5 miles in the wrong direction does not mean you continue in the wrong direction. It means you have to redirect. When you begin to hyperfixate on the concepts that other people have taught you, and then you realize those concepts are actually irrelevant to your journey. They sounded good at the time, they sounded spiritual, but they're not actual truth. You redirect. Committing to a failure just because it's a failure and you already failed is not going to suddenly bring you success. It's guaranteeing that you're going to continue to suffer because you're already now painfully aware of the failure that you perceive you've created. How do I heal that, Emmy? Redirecting. You can't change the past. Well, how do I move forward? Do a 3-point turn if you can't do a U-turn. Redirect. Go in the direction that you now know you need to go. But I don't know what direction it is. Let's put it this way. Go in any direction you choose except the one that you're currently on. Because that one now, you know for a fact, that's the wrong direction. Best advice ever. Go into any direction except the one that you currently were on. That's already proven to be not the right direction. Oh, Lord. Card number 47, soul separation. 4 is a number of self. 7 is a number of completion. At one point, there were selves that existed who divided. Then came the notion of the twins. The separation is complete. The cycle is complete. For some, what this means is that your interaction with each other is now finally done. It's completed. There's no more returning to that. For others, what this means is that cycle of temporary separation is completed. There will now be a coming together, a reconvergence. The spheres that once were one and then became two are coming back together to become three. The PiSCES vesica, the sacred yoni, the place of merger and birth. It's in the merger of the sperm and the egg within the sacred yoni that creates the new life. It's the masculine and the feminine within you coming together within your sacred internal womb, whether you are a man or a woman. We all have a sacred space within us that exists as a womb. Returning back to that point so you can rebirth yourself into a new life, a new you. Not because the old you wasn't enough, but because you've grown through that and now it's time for the next part. It's okay, you still exist. I think of these novels, these sagas that are written by authors, and it's like, does the character cease to exist just because the author has chosen to write a new chapter in that same book? No, it's a continuation of the story. It's just a new chapter. Something was redirected. Maybe time had lapsed, or maybe now they need to remember something from the past. That requires a new chapter so that things are organized. That character still continues to exist. It's just now developing. Does the character cease to exist just because the author now is writing the second book in that series? No. You don't cease to exist. You just begin to evolve with each chapter. With each new book, a new period of your life is told with maybe new people, maybe the same people, but a letting go of that expectation to have a run-on sentence within just one chapter. We wonder why we're confused. We wonder why we're confused. Write yourself a letter from the heart, but use no spaces between the words and no punctuations between the sentences. See how that works. Yet we fear the separation between the words. We fear the ending of a sentence and the start of a new one. Maybe the memory of your twin is nothing more than the vowels. Vowels are pretty important. The memory of that connectivity is very important. It helps to form new words as you create new communication. For some, that person is never coming back. For others, you still have growing to do. And in that need for further growth, there still needs to be communication because they can help you to learn things that no one else can. It's about learning, not about ownership. It's about growth, not about bondage. It's the most hurtful thing was when I began to realize the distortions that were pressure injected into the concepts of twins. Concept is a concept is a concept. When you have a real living soul placed before you, you could never own something that beautiful. You could never put into bondage something designed to be so free. Take that into consideration. You're on a soul journey. There's only room for one on that boat. Allow yourself to choose. Which version of you are you allowing to get into the boat? The old one that shut down, the other old one that destroyed things. The you that now exists with the hope, that egg of a future promise for an even brighter glow. You choose which one of you will move forward. Which one of the versions of you that you've already lived through or are currently living through. Personally, I would choose the me that carries the greatest potentiality for future me's to be born. Hidden Moon, card number 23. It came up in reverse. These are truths that are not hidden from you. You can't continue to believe that things are hidden from you when in reality, you just don't want to see them. There's a difference between hidden and ignored. Card number 13, duality. You exist in duality. Why? So that you could understand the process of becoming a totality. That's what this life is. A lesson in learning the gravity of totality. If you were born as a whole being with a knowing of your wholeness your entire life, you probably wouldn't have appreciation for that sense of being whole. For people who have been single for a very long time, when you enter into a new relationship for the first time in a long time, the gravity of that person's presence in your life, because now you have a companion. And I'm not talking about people who are desperate to be in relationships. I'm talking about people who have really taken the time, invested the time, the energy, and the focus in their self-healing. And that's why they chose to be single for a prolonged period. They wanted to grow themselves. And now they're ready to enter into a new type of relationship, a kind of relationship they've never had before with any other human being. One that's a solid foundation, one where they're both equals. They both equally contribute to the growth, the stability, the safety, all of that. A true equal, not a clone of you, but a true equal. The gravity of that first introduction. I came across my true equal when I was a teenager. I was seated at a table across from him in a restaurant. We only said one thing to each other, which was hi, but I knew right there. And we didn't speak again for well over a year. And when our paths crossed again, we didn't know who each other was. And when we realized it and we committed to growing something together, I spent quite a few of those years trying to convince myself that he was less than what I deserved. Why? Because I absolutely knew the gravity of what he offered me. Someone just as powerful as me, but in a different way. A way that would grow me beyond the trauma of my life. A way that would make me whole. I didn't want to be whole. I didn't want to heal. Very lucky for me, he's a very patient man. He tolerated a lot of attitude, a lot of closing down, shutting people out. He tolerated a lot. And he never shamed me for the process that I was in. May I remind you, he's not my twin flame. Yet I can love him so completely, wholeheartedly, with a loyalty that will extend beyond this life. Why? Because I choose to. Not because it's easy. Because I made a choice and he reflects that choice. He made a choice too, and we chose each other. Mental resilience in answer to stress. He taught me about being resilient. And once I learned that, on my own terms, in my own time, life was never capable of breaking me again. How do you shatter something resilient, flexibly strong? How do you do that? You can't. It bends as is appropriate and takes its proper form as is appropriate. To be loved so completely, wholeheartedly, with no need to apologize. I used to think that was some type of weakness. Has to be. Has to be. He's not evolving in the same way I am. He's not into spirituality. Can't possibly be my equal. I'm spiritual. This is a load of malarkey. It's just malarkey. And then I realized, how powerful does he have to be to allow me to evolve without him? Knowing, as far as I evolve, even if he can't meet me there, he will still be an equal and have a rightful place beside me. Whew. And then when you realize that, oh my gosh. Wait. Is it because he's so evolved, he's already there and he's waiting for me to catch up? Oh, hell no. And I think that's what I realized. That maybe he's already at this beautiful place of enlightenment, attainment. And he's waiting for me to blossom as he tends to the garden. Wow. So maybe we're equally strong. Because what is a gardener with no garden? And what happens to the garden when the gardener doesn't come out? Both equally necessary. Both equally valid. Both equally evolved in the purpose they were created for. What if my purpose is to grow and be publicly visible, and his purpose is to know how to cultivate that growth without forcing me, rushing me, confining me, cutting me down? What if? What if? It's a very, very beautiful, beautiful journey when you allow yourself to see it, because I could easily sit here and go through a list of all the times where I believed he disappointed me and fell short of my expectations and my this and that. And, I don't think my expectations were aligned with the reality of what I needed to experience with him in whatever time it was. I experienced everything I needed to with this man because I needed to, and he was strong enough to. Mm-hmm. And I mean that in every sense of the word. We've never had a separation. We've never broken up. And I'm not trying to say that as a flex, like, oh, we never. No, it's this realization of no matter how difficult it got, he handled it with grace, more grace than I had, I tell you. With grace. He handled it with grace. How powerful is that? How powerful is that? And it took me almost 20 years to exit out of the mindset that confined me to this belief of gender roles. You see, I grew up in a very specific way. A quote unquote real man needs to be thuggish. You know what I'm saying? Like thuggish. Like gangsta. You got to be a thug, you know what I mean? Man, it's not that he's not a thug, it's that he's not a thug with me. He's not savage with me. I mean, other people, good luck with that. Let me know in advance so I can pop my popcorn. He's not gonna let you talk to him however you want. Are you kidding me? That's funny. Yeah, no, you're gonna see a whole nother side of him. Hmm. He has no problem speaking up. He's a Gemini. Come on now. Come on now. But here's the thing, is he like that with me? Never. Why? Is it because he is like that with every person he's ever dated? No, he's pretty dismissive with other people. I've seen it. It's just, yeah. He's only ever been like that with me. Why? Because he chooses to cherish me. It's not because there's a threat looming over his head. He chooses to cherish me. And in that choice to cherish me, I've blossomed beautifully. If you ever want to see the most beautiful, most powerful parts of a woman, love her in the way that she needs, not the way that's convenient for you. Give her the time and the space or the closeness that's necessary. Make her feel safe in your presence, not because you're thuggish, but because you're strong enough to hold that space. Or leave her alone. Leave her alone. If you can't understand the needs of a flower, stop pretending to be the gardener. Be what you're meant to be. Maybe you're meant to play with horses. Maybe you're meant to drive cars. Who knows? If you're not meant to be her gardener, stop pretending. You'll burn her at her roots and give her no opportunity to grow. Leave her be. Let her grow herself. One day you might come back and see that little sapling that you nearly cut down. She's birthed an orchard. Biggest tree. Feeding so many. Teaching others how to be big trees as well. Spreading that nourishment. Just got a notification. We're celebrating. Celebrate your realizations. Realizations are difficult on the heart. Oftentimes, the human heart breaks because the human mind convinces it that there are outcomes that are guaranteed when nothing ever really was. I love that. Ocean Lover says, It's not always if a man can handle that she's strong. Can he handle her tenderness? Does he have the maturity to know what to do with that softness? Or will he allow her to dry out and become brittle and frail, not braille, brittle and frail? Because his softness, his concept of softness, is too soft. Needs to be harder. Needs to be dried out. It needs to be processed. Yeah, no. She needs to be allowed to be who she is. Michael gives me this analogy. If a woman, the goddess of your life, if you desire her to be this leather robe draped around your shoulders, protecting you from the elements, the environment, the inclement weather, she must be processed in the proper way. I don't know how I know this. Maybe because he's telling me. Some of the most supple, most durable leather will have been processed by the brains of the animal. I don't know how you do it, but you use their brain. And that God created the brain to be just enough to process the skin. Allow her emotional intelligence to shield you from the storm. When she walks away, she's guiding you away from the weather. Don't hate her because she knows she can't protect you from that type of weather. Stop forcing her into environments that ruin her. What is truly sacred to you would be cherished, protected, not forced to endure just to prove to you. Prove to you what? That she can be draped around your shoulders. She already was. She already was. And what did you do? You allowed her to become weathered, weakened, some sense of loss of worth, loss of beauty, aged. And it's not that women need to be protected and that we're all damsels in distress. It's that if you really cherish the god or goddess in your life, you don't ask of them to prove the importance that you should have already held them in. That's my thing with people. If I've loved you in any way, platonic or romantic, and your insecurities cause you to feel as though you need to test me and how much I love you, I will intentionally fail that test. You're not worthy of me. At least not until you grow. I deserve more than what you're capable of offering right now, because if all you're offering are tests, I deserve more than that. I understand. I deserve way more than what you're capable of offering, giving right now. So, depending on the situation, I'll either give you time to grow on your own, or I'll leave you a note on the door of your heart. I'll love you forever in silence. May my absence not be felt too strongly. Goodbye. And that's so hard to say because I know some people will be hurt by the truth. But maybe that's the thing. As much as I'd love to save you from being hurt by hearing a truth coming out of my mouth, maybe that pain is the thing you needed to feel, not to punish you, but to help you realize you're still capable of feeling. And may that sensation be the gift that gives you a promise of deeper connection for yourself in the future. And as I clear myself out of your field, out of your life, may you already have plans for the new ways you'll decorate the room that I leave. It's just because you're not in my life does not mean I want you to suffer. It doesn't mean I don't want you to succeed and be happy and have companionship. It just means thank you for helping me to see the love I was seeking from you. I need to receive it from me. And sometimes that's why people are in our lives, to help us learn that, to help us deeply and profoundly learn that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll pull you guys one final card. I'm sorry, there were quite a few other cards that I needed to pull. I see the time is approaching 2 hours, and I very viscerally feel my heart breaking. I'll leave you guys with a final card. I hope whatever card comes up consoles you as you process whatever your life is asking you to process. Michael says to say, everything I've been guided to speak on is truth, but it's not always a truth applicable to everyone. What might be true and accurate for one may not be true and accurate for another. Some doors can never be locked. Some doors don't even exist. Sometimes we have to realize when we exist with people in a room that has no doors or walls, the profoundness of that connection will always be felt. Oh, we spoke about this. Sacred Yoni, the merger point. It's about rebirth. Card number 11, Sacred Convergence. Roaming about town, the master was holding a light, saying, I'm weary of the demons and the beasts. A human is what I'm longing for. The human cannot be found. We have searched. What cannot be found is what I'm longing for. Although poor and needy, I will not accept small pieces of ruby. The mine of the finest rubies is what I'm longing for. One hand holding a cup of wine, and the other the curls of the beloved. A dance like this in the middle of a circle is what I'm longing for. How have I longed for you, my very own? Look no further for the family beyond your family, the relationship beyond all other relationships, the great love that unveils all other loves to be mere reflections of the one great and true love is here for you now. It is I who has sought you through the stirrings of your own heart. Yes, 'twas I, hidden beneath every secret, yearning for something more, something full, something special, something all-encompassing. Behind every yearning always I have hidden. Now I show myself to you, that you may become so filled with the same passionate devotion that I hold for you, that your mind will fall away overwhelmed by the sheer intensity of love, tossed into an ocean of silent, unending bliss. Come to me, we are to be one now, in sacred convergence of silent, eternal passion. Sacred convergence indicates a coming together of souls in alignment with a greater cause. This cause must be great enough to help the human evolution, the evolution of that human consciousness, the coming together of twins. It's not for those who are seeking companionship. It never was. If companionship between the two would facilitate the work to be done, then yes, yes. But if that companionship would fracture each, so long as they are in the presence of each other, then no. You must be solid and whole in order to properly serve the purpose you came into this life to serve. Some belong in the presence of the other. Some must simply always cherish the memories already created, knowing there is no longer any opportunity for new ones to be made. This greater cause is both personal and impersonal. There is an aspect of joining together for common purpose, although that purpose may not be immediately obvious at a level of day-to-day consciousness. That common soul purpose may be to lift each other into greater love and self-belief, to shed fear and open the heart, filling each individual soul with more holy fire for its personal, passionate purpose. You'll have a sense when this process is happening. There will be a coming together of you with like-minded souls who hail from all walks of life. And yet together, through some invisible genius, you will help each other. You may simply be dancing in the same room or singing in a group, attending a class or workshop, or just visiting the same beach or parkland. But at that moment, there will be a sense of something coherent and nourishing happening at a far greater level. The trickle-down effect into your personal life will be felt too. You'll have more energy after spending time with these people. Even if you don't interact very much on a personal level beyond being in the same space, you'll feel empowered to step forward on your path and love yourself with less conditions. You'll become freer to shed your fears, let go of relationships based in fear and judgment, and open up to those more loving, responsive, and inspiring to continue on your personal journey in increasingly profound ways. This oracle has come to you because you're part of a greater sacred convergence happening now. Perhaps you've already sensed this progression, or perhaps it will not be obvious to you, but the effort, the effect, whether obvious or subtle, will be important to your soul development and divine awakening. You're being asked to drop defenses and barriers towards groups of people that feel good for you. This protecting yourself from receiving what is rightfully yours, the camaraderie, the support, the embrace of an equal soul. You don't need to defend yourself from that. You have to allow yourself to learn how to discern the difference between the wolves in sheep's clothing and the fact that you're one of the wolves. You were never a sheep. You were only pretending to be. You, my friend, are not here to fit in. You are not here to be led to slaughter. You are here as a wolf in sheep's clothing, trying to understand the sheep and why they agree to the things they agree to. You ever notice how you don't understand why other people allow certain things, why they agree to certain things, why they simply witness certain things without taking action, without defending themselves, without walking away, without asking for more, without. You were never meant to be one of them because you're not one of them. It's time for you to find your rightful environment. Other wolves would never shame you for having the diet of a wolf. They won't fear you. They'll see you and they'll see themselves. And then finally, you'll be free to simply exist as a wolf that you are. You weren't designed to have the same type of energy harvested from the same type of material that sheep use to feed their bodies. You're being asked to drop defenses and barriers towards groups of people that feel good for you. However, those that dampen your spirits or drag you down are to be dispensed with, no matter what games of blame or manipulation they may try to keep you coming back for more. No, that shall not do for your soul growth now. Just step away. For the things that are ending, just step away. Step away with grace intact, dignity held. Step away. Take with you as you leave the things that are rightfully yours. You're not being asked to sacrifice and give up what rightfully belongs to you. Whether that just be your dignity and your compassion for self, material things, financial things. Step away with what's rightfully yours. Turn towards those connections that feel nourishing to your soul and learn to share yourself without fear. Just be. You do not have to force the planets to spin, nor the great cycles of the soul to happen. Oh my gosh, Jenna was saying this earlier today. You don't have to force it. It's just something that happens. All that's required is that you show up for what is offered to you now. Do your part, take your steps, dance, sing, and be, and allow the gifts of sacred connection to change your world. For this is a spiritual gift presented to you now. This oracle comes with a special message. Perhaps you've been thinking about shedding lower vibrational connections based in the ego world of power games, sabotage, manipulation, and fear. Perhaps you've already begun this process or even shed so many you're fearing you might have overpruned to be left with nothing and no one. Do not fear, feisty angel of love. Your truth is prevailing. You cannot stay in a vibration of fear if you want to dwell in a vibration of love. Those are different frequencies. They're very different. And in order to exist in one, you must exit the other. While you learn to sustain that vibration within you until it cannot be rattled by any crisis or demand, you are wise to place yourself in more nourishing connections. If you want a plant to grow, why not give it the best soil and conditions in which to do so? Certainly, the plant of love can and will grow in the most inhospitable conditions, but it can be rather more joyful to grow in gentler, more nourishing conditions if possible. This oracle comes to you with guidance that the possibility for more joyful relationships and growth of love within you is your power. You can choose each day, each moment. Just make a choice. Trust yourself, your discernment, and your intuition, and choose. You do not owe anyone anything. Please open your ears and heart so that I can say it again. You do not owe anyone anything at all. At all. Repeat this law of karma. You only owe love the chance to grow. So let that be your guiding principle now as you release the old and trust that even if your garden of relationship becomes sparse for a while, you have been cutting back unhealthy plants to allow for new life to flourish. A responsible gardener does not allow a plant to outgrow its proper place. Just as it would not rush a plant to grow, it would not allow a plant to overgrow and overshadow and phase out the other plants of the garden. You can have a mature shrub and have it still be a topiary. Have it be healthy. Have it be aesthetically pleasing, beautiful, and you haven't harmed it. It's when you try and force something that isn't meant to be that you run into the potentiality of causing harm and injury. It's only a matter of timing for the season of new life and growth to come again. And so it shall, bringing with it sacred convergence of souls on the path of love, your soul tribe, your soul family, your new tribe of those journeying upon the path of love. So many things to consider. So much time. You have to consider them. There's no need to rush. There's also no need to drag your feet. There is a need to be aware of what your actual need is in the moment. The people, the pace, the environment. Take all of these things into consideration as you begin to truly become your own gardener. What a powerful moment when you realize the gardener you needed was you. You know yourself the most intimately. You know what you've been through in life. You know what your hopes and your dreams are. You know the things you're afraid of. And I hope at some point in your journey of self-awareness, you'll begin to know why you're afraid. It's a very powerful place to be when you begin to realize you fear the very thing that's your destiny. Why was I afraid? Because I'm destined to become something that I don't know. I can't control it. I can't guarantee anything. I can't even create a timeline. I simply have to flow. It's scary to trust things outside of myself because my earlier life traumatized me. But here's the most powerful thing I learned. I'm no longer living in my earlier life, and I'm no longer the same person. I'm not just an accumulation of trauma. I'm not just the healing process that I'm in. I'm something so simply complex that I've struggled my whole life to understand. I'm going to struggle a while longer. There are still components that I need to retrieve. There are still parts of me that are probably contained in other people still. When I'm ready for those parts, when I'm ready to bring back home what is rightfully mine, the knowing, the experience, the maturity, these people will cross my path again. They'll be welcome to stay or continue their travels without me. I just know I'm finally at a place in my life. I'm not afraid of who comes forward. I'm not afraid of who stays behind. I'm going to continue to swirl and twirl and be that lightning in a bottle, knowing I can never be contained, knowing that people will try, and I can allow them to be who they are without risk of me becoming something I'm not. I was never meant to be limited or small. I was meant to be witnessed by as many as are willing to witness. And in that, I have to lose my fear of being witnessed. Why? Because even if you see me as messy, even if you see me as living chaos, there is an intrinsic power and beauty to it. And I'm starting to embrace the fact that regardless of your opinion, the moment you see me, you can't look away. The moment you see me with your heart, with your third eye, you'll never be able to look away. Why? Because I'm a reflection of all the promises your soul made you. And you need to know, You need to see, you need to witness the way that promise will play out so that you can have some sort of reassurance you won't be destroyed in that process. Versions of me will be destroyed, and you will witness that. You have witnessed that already if you've been with me for any length of time. I will always rebuild from the pieces that are left of me. And as I rebuild, it will always be in more alignment with more divine grace than what I was capable of before the destruction began. How beautiful is that? To know you carry within you the same potentiality. All you have to do is choose it and use it. It's not enough to just choose. You also have to harness. With that, I'm going to get going, guys. If you could please give this video a thumbs up. If you're on social media, Facebook, share this out, tag people, send it to their inbox. If you're listening to this audio recording via podcast, please interact with the recording, download it, heart it, leave a comment. I'm all over the place at this point. If it's more convenient for you to listen to my content via podcast, you can find me anywhere they have podcasting done. I'm literally spread out far and wide at this point. I'm on all social media platforms as Emmy Evolving. If you would like that type of guidance from the cards and a little bit more ratchet, look for the Emmy Evolving podcast. If you're more into the very responsible, very polished type of delivery of messages, you want less joking around, more structure, look for me as the Soul Sanctuary. I believe I'm across social media as Soul Sanctuary 23, just to kind of differentiate from other soul sanctuaries. Either way, whatever place you're in where you need a little more ratchet delivery, you need a little more polished, I'm ready to show up in your life in the way you need me to. I'm ready to be your messenger from soul. I'm ready to allow my humility and humbleness to take me into the places of your heart where you need the most companionship. I see you. I feel you. I was once you. Don't think you're alone in this. You really aren't. You aren't. You resonate with me because you see me as you. A part of you you're still scared to tap into. I was scared too. And look at me now. Still scared, but doing it. Let that sink in. Give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe. Turn on that notification bell. Download the podcast. And I'm going to see you guys again tomorrow. I go live every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for my Soul Sanctuary podcast. And I'm live daily, sometime between 7 a.m., 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for the Emmy Evolving. Like I said, if you're not vibing with ratchet, go for the Soul Sanctuary. Emmy Evolving, she a little bit hood, a little bit spiritual, add some crystals, brass knuckles. We got this. We got this. From the deepest depths of my heart's oceans. I love you guys. Bye, everyone.